Good morning. It's a brand new week. I'm excited for this week. I think we have a great opportunity to tie some things up from the memoir that we read, have some good discussion within our Turnitin discussion board conversations, and then you're going to get a chance to share a piece of your story, knowing that no one else is going to read it except me. It's not going to be posted publicly or even anonymously, but you get a chance to dig in and find a piece of who you are. So I'm really excited for that. I'm going to walk you through that here in just a minute. First things first, let's go ahead and just look at the website as we always do. If we look right here, we can see, your video will be posted here in just a moment, but this will have your module sheet. You know how to load that up by now so that you can start looking through what to do. What's assignment 1? What's assignment 2? And then finally, what is your assessment that week or your third assignment? So you're going to click on that first, and then once you do, it uploads it. And then I always recommend, as you know, that you print it off so you have it next to you so you can start checking things off. And if you want to work ahead, you can, or you can slow down if you need to. So that's all right here for you. It lets you know where things will be submitted, the times they are due, and the day, of course, that they're due. So do that first and foremost. The next item I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is that the end of the quarter has wrapped up. So quarter 3 grades are finished, and that includes your Turnitin essays that you submitted for your character analysis. I want to show you, how do I look at feedback on this when we're in this virtual land? You don't get your paper back. I didn't get a chance to write all over it and put my happy thoughts on it, but you get a chance to still see, I'm hoping, some very meaningful feedback in Turnitin. And the rubric is linked right with it, so you can see where did you do really well, where are some areas you could work at the next time you're working on an essay. I'm going to go ahead and share with you my essay here that I submitted as a student, and I'm going to show you how you can read what the teacher or the professor had to say about your paper. So I'll click, first of all, here's my assignment, Animal Farm Character Analysis Final Draft. I'm going to click View. And when I do that, it gives me the opportunity to load here in a minute. I'm going to look at the comments the teacher left. So you can see all these little blue marks are areas that the teacher spent some time giving you some feedback on. And then over here to the right, these are overall comments that the teacher would have written if there were any. Sometimes your teacher can also record their comments on an audio clip. But let's go ahead and just look at these. I just hover and click, and then it tells you what the teacher was trying to say. This one is not an MLA format, and that is, of course, one of our requirements. If I click on this bubble here, it just lets me know that the title needed to be centered. Here it says, remember to open with an A. You need an attention grabber. That's a shocking statistic, a powerful or relevant quote or thought, or a thought-provoking question. Remember, not a yes or no question that we've talked about. Try to steer away from that one if you can. Then down here, it says that's a good, clear thesis. And I would just go through my paper, just looking at all of here's a grammar error. I'm going to click on that. It says, did you mean to repeat this word? If I read it out loud to myself, also would be before he is sent to the glue farm. Like, whoa, that does not sound right or make sense. I obviously did not revise that. The teacher is going to catch that and then hopefully clarify that for me. Here it says citation and relevance. Remember, you need to know how to cite your page numbers correctly. I obviously did not do that accurately here. And then I need to put the relevancy. That's, remember, why is this even important? How does it connect to my idea? Here's a spelling error. I just go through my paper and I just click on that. I can also then, if I click this button here, this gives me my similarity report. This is the one that's going to look at, I didn't have any similarity. Mine says 0. And so I don't have any source overlapping, but you might. So if you click on that, you're going to see, where else did somebody say what you said? And we want that number to be as low as possible. In a character analysis essay, it's okay if you're sitting at about 5 or 6%, even up to 10%, because you are actually quoting directly from the text of George Orwell, which we would expect to have some similarity. If you look at my paper, I obviously did not have any real solid quotes that came out of the novel. That's a problem. I need that. If you have more than, I would say, about 10%, usually 6 to 10 in a character analysis essay, that just means either your essay probably wasn't long enough, so you might have cited it correctly and accurately and didn't plagiarize, but you needed to have more of you in your essay. You needed to have more of your analysis and thinking about, what does this literature even mean to you and why does it matter? So that's all that number means there. If it's incredibly high, then you would have received an email from me asking you to look at it again and rewrite it and put it more in your own words. All right, let's go ahead right now and dig into moving forward this week. Of course, if you do have questions on any of those assignments from quarter 3, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer if you look at those office hours on my website. Let's start right here and dig into this week's work. This week, we're going to be looking at, again, this memoir that we read, this memoir from the Holocaust survivor, right, Elie Wiesel, and we're looking at his brief clip, just a moment, a snippet of his story. And what I'm going to ask you to do is discuss that a little bit more. So you'll go into your Turnitin discussion boards. You'll just go right into here. You'll click on discussion, which is up here at the top. And then at that point, you're going to click night. You're going to read that, hopefully carefully. And it says choose one of these to answer. So I have 3 different questions here. I'm going to pick the one that I think I could write pretty extensively about. It's only one question and answer. And then I'll just post that. I'll just reply to this topic. I'm going to definitely put which one I am responding to. And if I read the directions, I answer all parts of it. Yes, it needs to be in complete sentences in order to receive full credit. Once I've posted my answer, then I'm finished with assignment 1. Later on, the next day or the following day, I'm going to want to come back out here and read the responses, because then I'll need to reply to 3 different peer responses. So that's assignment number 2. So that's what we'll be looking at and discussing in night. And then we're going to be working all week, starting today, really, when you watch this lesson. We're going to look at writing your own brief little snippet, your own glimpse of your story in a memoir format. So that means, doing some work, thinking about who you are and what has made you who you are. So what is your story? Everyone has a story to tell. It's the people, the places, the things, it's the moments in our lives that shape us into the person we are. And memoir is a story that we tell about that person, place, thing, or moment. It shares a part of our story, not the entire journey, right? It's not an autobiography. It's just a quick snapshot into a piece of the entire masterpiece that makes up our lives. They're written for a variety of purposes. Our writers write memoirs to inform and explain. You think about the memoir that we read in Night. That's informing, it's explaining. We're writing to sometimes persuade somebody to believe something or to entertain them. And sometimes it's a combination of all of these. But we're looking at, the who, the what, the when, the where, all the experiences that make up that something for us. I have attached for you on the website, and I also sent it in the email, your how-to sheet, right? This is always Mrs. P on paper. So you don't have to read this right here on the slide, but I just want you to know what it's going to look like. It's just step by step. This is what I do, and this is how it will look at the end. These are the expectations. And then, of course, my final parting thoughts, as they are Mrs. P on paper. It's what I would say to you if I was standing in class and we were actually, part of our in-class discussion and instruction. So make sure you download that and take a look at it. Even print it off. I think it will help. So we're going to start with our activity today, and you will need your notebook. So take out those notebooks that you all have. This activity actually will take the place of your quick write today. So you don't need to do your quick write. This is your quick write today. Turn to the writing section of your notebook, where we do our writing, of course, and find the first blank page. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to complete this activity, and I have my timer over here. What I want you to do is just look around the room that you're sitting in right now. So just take a look around. If you're in your bedroom, take a look around. If you're in the family room or your living room or at the kitchen table, maybe in the basement on the couch, just look around the room. So do that. I want you to find something in that room that reminds you of something that's happened in your past. And just jot that down on your paper right now. So I'm looking around my room and I see a picture right now of my own kids. And they're standing outside a swimming pool. And so I'm just going to jot that down. You know, Taylor and Corey at the swimming pool. And so that's just a memory I have of when one of my kids was getting their senior pictures taken, and so I just jotted down. I didn't write a complete sentence. I just threw it down there. Okay. But as I look at that picture frame, I'm noticing lots of other moments that are captured. I see Mount Helena there, which is a real special place to our family. So I'm going to jot that down. And that's all I'm doing. Now, I want you to think about that moment, that's something that you just chose. You know, maybe it's an item. Like if I look behind me, I see the piano. So that's a thing, right? That might be what I want to write about. My connection to music, or the day we bought that piano, or how many times I listened to my daughter practicing on that piano. There's lots of moments attached to that. But I'm looking for anything. It could be a hat you got on a trip, or a penny that your grandpa gave you, or maybe it is the place you're sitting in right now. It's that special chair in your room. I mean, it could be anything. Now, for 2 minutes, I'm going to ask you to write down anything that comes to your mind when you're thinking of that something, just like we do in class. So you know how it is in class. I start the timer and you write. Your pencil doesn't stop. We don't care about grammar. We don't care about sentence structure. We don't care about spelling. We just write. Because that's what writers do. We write. We write everything, words, images, feelings that's coming to our mind. The more you have, I promise, the easier that the next steps are going to be. So I want you to go ahead and do that right now. Get your pencil ready, look at that special something, and begin. Don't stop. Keep writing. Don't stop. Keep it going. Pencils are moving.
Push to the last buzzer.
That's right. Keep it going. Got about a minute left. But you're not telling the story yet. You're writing on everything that comes to your mind with that special something. What words come to your mind? What pictures come to your mind? What emotions, feelings? Were you laughing? Were you crying? Um, were you working hard? Were you hardly working? What was going on? 30 seconds. Don't stop that pencil. It's moving. 10, 6, and time's up. Pencils down. You have right now lots of words written on your paper. So we're going to talk about now what do? I take those words and I have to start putting them into some sort of logical construct. Did you have a hard time thinking of something when the timer was going? If you can't find that something, right, you know, we're not in class. I'm not collecting these yet. I'm not looking at them. So try it again. Walk around your house. Walk around your yard, walk around the neighborhood. Look through your family pictures, look in a closet, look in an old toy box. And when you open up that toy box, do you see, a Buzz Lightyear in there, or do you see, something that reminds you of something that was important in your life? Better yet, talk to someone in your family to help you get ideas. But once you have those ideas, then you're going to take that quick write from your notebook and you're just going to follow this graphic organizer. This graphic organizer, again, I sent you it in an email. It's also on my website on the writing page. So you have to go there and click on it. It'll upload it. You can print it off and write directly on it, or you can just, follow along and write it in your notes. But it's here to help you. For you, after you've watched this, after you've done the memory activity, now you're going to, pick one of those that you could really dig into. You're going to end up writing a 500 to 800 word memoir. It's only about 2 pages, maybe 3 if you go to the 800 mark, but 500 words is about almost 2 pages, not quite, because we'll be in Times New Roman 12 and we'll be double spacing. So let's go ahead and look at our next step. What is it that makes a great memoir? We have a lot written down now, but a great memoir will tell a story that reveals something unique about you. I want you to use your senses, right? That's on that graphic organizer. Dig into those senses. Think about, what this world you're trying to create for your reader is, a vivid world. Usually when I read a memoir, at least the first draft of a memoir from high school students, it looks a little flat, to be honest with you. And when we revise it, we make it better. We make it more descriptive. But you can make a descriptive first draft if you really keep in mind that you need to use your senses. It takes practice. That's why we write every day in class. It takes practice, but you can teach yourself how to do it. Well, once we're allowed to, we can't do it today, of course, but once we're back from this break, this digital learning environment, and back into the classroom, and you can go to a restaurant again, listen in the halls, go to a restaurant, listen at the doctor's office while you're waiting for your mom or something, and notice the sights, the sounds, the smells, the textures. It's what writers do. They dig into that. That's what creates and captures us as a reader. Another great technique with a memoir, and this is my opinion, but don't start at the beginning. Don't begin chronologically. It's really predictable in writing. Think of the favorite books that you've read. They don't always start at the beginning. Instead, they rivet you with an instant action. They intrigue you. They tease you a little bit. They give you just enough action that's going to hook you and pull you in, but they don't give the whole outcome yet. You can flash back sometimes to when the action really began. You remember what we talk about in class? Don't give them the whole enchilada. Give them a little bit of chips and salsa. Let them start it out and then bring the entree to them. Let's start your draft. So I included here a sample from a writer named John Fitzsimmons. He's a teacher, actually. And this is just an intro paragraph of a memoir. And his title is When Cool Was Really Cool, because you want to try to think if you can grab it with a catchy title. He chose a quote sort of as his attention grabber here. He chose a quote by an unknown author that says, "Life is not counted by the amount of breaths we take, but the moments that leave us breathless." And maybe you've heard that. But that's the quote he's using to pull us in. We're guessing that this memoir is about a very important moment that took his breath away. And this is how he starts it out. "We were coming home from church one morning, and Jimmy Glennon pulled up beside us as we approached the Sudbury road lights. He didn't notice the well-dressed family of 8 scrunched into our old Pontiac station wagon as he revved the engine of his yellow and black Mustang fastback. Already, we're getting this image of this family scrunched in the station wagon. We can hear the engine. We can see the car. And we're only into this a couple of sentences. I was crammed in the rearward-facing backseat, doling out peace signs and air horn salutes. But the scene unfolding in front of me was one of the coolest scenes ever. Here was the guy Patty had a date with the night before, seeming to challenge my father to a drag race, or at the very least, humiliate the infamous and fiery EJ, who's their dad, on a Sunday morning, no less. So already we're pulled into this one moment in time, this one Sunday morning. Family's headed to church, and there's this other kid pulls up at the stoplight, and that's how it starts. So that's just one of a million examples. I also included some student samples on my website. So if you go to the writing page again, you're going to see student sample 1, 2, 3, and I think there's 4 there. And still having trouble, you can't wait forever. You got to dig in and you got to get going. But you could try one of these, about you realize I was no longer a child when, or nothing in the world compares to my favorite place. I spent time with someone much different from me on the day whenever. The person who's had a tremendous influence on me was the man who, so try any of these, and you can come back and watch the video if you want to look at this list of 20 again. But we want to keep moving on here. When we're all finished with the draft, remember this is what it is, it's a draft. It's probably a page or two. It's several paragraphs. As you'll notice in the how-to sheet, I walk you through an introductory paragraph, and then the body paragraphs really vary, so read that carefully. They're not formulaic in nature. That's one of the beauties of personal narrative writing or memoir writing, is there's freedom and we take a little more risks, I hope. And your conclusion paragraph looks a little different. Again, it's not formulaic in nature. There's not real strong, obvious parallel structure. So read that how-to sheet, please, very carefully, because I do walk you through it paragraph by paragraph. Once I have a first draft, remember, author Terry Pratchett reminds us that the first draft is just you telling yourself the story. When you're ready to actually present that to an audience, you need to revise. We've done this all year. I did put it here again just for your reference, but you have this in your notes. So dig back to earlier in the year in your writing notes, and your radar revisions are there for you. Replace, then add, then delete, and then reorder. So do that before you submit that final draft. So how do I submit my final draft for this memoir, and how is it going to be scored? So let's talk rubric. I attached the rubric for you. It is attached in the email. It's also on the website. Go to the writing page on my website and it's linked right there. I put it here just for your reference, but you're not expected to read everything here. But you're evaluate it on the elements, the organization, the tone when we talk about word choice. Look at your notes from last week's lesson and exactly what makes good word choice. How do I set that tone? And purpose. Is my purpose clear? Did I write this to inform? Did I explain, or did I write it to persuade or to entertain, or all of those maybe? Do I try some of those rhetorical strategies that we know are evident in a memoir? Did I try some parallelism or some repetition? Is there some verbal irony or an allusion of sorts, or all of those? And then lastly, my conventions. Did I apply my radar revisions? Is that obvious? Do I have few or not very many errors when I'm looking at grammar and conventions and structure? So that's how you're being evaluated. Ultimately, I want you to have fun with this. I want you to take time, not only digging into your story and what makes you who you are, but taking a day or two to share it with me. And I respect that, and I am honored and privileged to be able to read a part of your story, something that's made you who you are. So have fun. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me by this point. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.